My name is Jordan McCarl, and I'll be giving my persuasive speech on divorce for Comms 101. William C. Spahn, presidential professor of ethics and common good at Santa Clara University, states that since 1974, 1 million children a year have seen their parents divorce, and 45% of all American children can expect their families to break up by the time they reach the age of 18. Divorce does not only have a dire effect on the families directly involved within our society, but has an effect on our society as a whole. After all, a society is made up by the people within it, and when 45% of the next generation have been suffering because of divorce, damage is done. As a Liberty student going into elementary education, having an understanding of divorce and the effects on children is essential to be a good teacher to each of my students. I want to talk to you about divorce because I can see how prevalent the problem is today and how the effects on children are more than necessary to notice. Divorce has become a heartbreaking step away from God's design in our society today, and that is having a serious effect on every child involved. However, if parents recognize this and work to love and respect each other, families can be healed. I intend to show this to you by examining how every year many children are caught up in and harmed by divorce. Divorce is stepping away from God's plans for husbands and wives, and how staying together and learning to love and respect each other can heal families. Every year since 1972, over 1 million children have been caught up in a divorce. This means that over 1 million children every year are going to have more emotional problems than they did the year before. They're also learning to not value commitment and sticking with something as much as they would beforehand. In a study done at the University of Hawaii by a psychiatrist named John McDermott, he examined a group of preschoolers who had experienced a divorce only a few months beforehand. Only 3 out of 16 were considered essentially unchanged, while 2 were known as severely disorganized and showing blatant behavioral problems. However, most of the group were labeled as the sad, angry children. These children showed resentment, depression, grief, and were restless, noisy, possessive, and physically aggressive. Studies done by Judith Wallerstein and others show that divorce not only affects children immediately, but it affects them long term. 15 years later, many children are still struggling emotionally, occupationally, and are unable to have a long-term relationship. It seems that the loss of their parents' relationship affected their identity and caused them to have serious trust and commitment issues. Taking care of our children correctly is so vital to us, our families, and our nation. To really understand how our families should be, we must look to the Word of God. In Matthew 19, Jesus states that in the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said that for this reason man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, that what God has joined together, let no one separate. And then in Ephesians 5, Paul goes on to say that husbands are to love their wives the way Christ loves the church. Christ not only renews his mercy every day, but was willing to die on the cross for us. That's the kind of love that we're supposed to have for each other. It's a lot harder to do than it is to say, but that's what God expects from us. Divorce is not a problem that can actually be fixed from the outside, but it is a relational problem or a series of problems that require work from both people. Dr. Emerson Eggerichs believes that the key to marriage is love and respect, and women desperately need love while men desperately need respect. On Family Life Today, there was a couple named the Garments. Scott wanted a divorce, but after prayer and attending a conference, his wife Suzette realized that God wanted their marriage to work. She worked for months at changing and read Dr. Emerson's book, Love and Respect. After months without any sign of him actually coming around, things started to change. He was shocked by the way that she had changed things, and he made changes of his own. After a year, he came to her saying, "I love you again. It's all coming back. I love you even more than I ever have." Considering that 45% of all American children will see their parents divorce before they turn 18, it is impossible to say that divorce is not prevalent in our country. Every year, numerous children are caught up in and harmed by their parents' divorces. These divorces directly go against God's plan for the family. However, parents can solve this problem by staying together and learning how to love and respect one another, and families can be healed. I would like to call anyone who is considering divorce to reconsider, not only for the sake of their children, but for each other. By learning how to really love each other and respect each other in a storm, not only will you grow stronger, but you will teach your kids about real love and commitment. I think Howard W. Hunter said it best when he said, "One of the greatest things a man can do for his children is to go home and love their mother." Thank you.